You've probably heard that you need standard operating procedures, SOPs. Maybe you've even created a few, but if they're sitting in a Google Drive folder nobody opens or printed in a binder that collects dust on a shelf, those, my friend, they are not actually working for you. SOPs don't fail because early childhood businesses don't need them. They fail because most templates are built for corporate offices, not for preschools, play cafés, enrichment programs, where your team is on their feet all day. They're not sitting behind a desk, and they don't have time to read a 5-page procedure. So today, I'm going to show you how to build SOPs that are simple, visual, and specific enough that your team will actually use them. Well, hello there, CEOs. It's Kelly Peak. I am back with another episode of the Early Childhood Business Made Easy podcast. Super excited to help you find more of that peace and profit and that time freedom lifestyle that you so deserve. Now, my friend, picture this. It's a Tuesday morning. You're out of the building. Maybe you're at a doctor's appointment. Maybe you finally took a day to breathe, and then your phone rings. It's a team member asking how to handle a situation that has a very clear answer, except the answer lives in your head, not on paper, not in a binder, not in a Google Doc that anybody can find, just in your head. And now you're back to being the hub that every single operational question routes through, even on your day off. Now, if that scenario feels painfully familiar, here's what I want you to know. That's not a people problem. It's a systems problem, and it's one of the most solvable problems in your entire business. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, those are the answer. But here's the part that most operators get wrong. They either never build them because it feels overwhelming, or they build them in a format so dense and corporate that nobody on their team ever actually references them. Now, after 30 years of operating preschools, play cafés, and enrichment programs, I've learned exactly what makes an SOP useful versus what makes it a very organized waste of everybody's time. So today, we're going to talk about building those SOPs and doing it in a way that is simple enough for every new team member to follow from day one, specific enough to actually prevent the problems they're designed to prevent, and formatted in a way that your team will genuinely reference. So number one, we're going to start with the right SOP categories for your business type. Number two, we're going to write SOPs that a new team member can follow on day one. And number three, how to embed those SOPs into your team culture so they're actually referenced. So be sure to follow along. Our free resource today is the SOP Manual Framework. You're going to find that free resource, the SOP Manual Framework, at kellypeak.com, where you will find information about this podcast episode. That's episode number 178, or you can also find us on YouTube. So an SOP that nobody uses isn't a system. It's a document. And there is a big difference. When you build SOPs that are short, visual, role-specific, and embedded in the rhythm of how your team actually works, that, my friend, is how you transform the knowledge that lives inside of your head into a business asset that runs without your constant presence. This is what it means to operate as a CEO and with a CEO mindset. Your business doesn't depend on you being in the room to function well. Here's the real reason that most SOPs don't get used. They're written for the person who wrote them, not for the person who needs to follow them. Let me repeat myself. If you're multitasking, your SOPs are usually written by you for you, not for your team who needs to follow them. When you write an SOP the way you think through the process, with all the nuances and contexts and exceptions that live in your experienced brain, then you create a document that makes perfect sense to you and almost sometimes no sense to a new hire trying to handle morning drop-off on their second day. So useful SOPs, they're not comprehensive. They are clear. So the goal isn't to document everything you know. It's to give someone the minimum information they need to complete a specific task correctly every time without you asking. So remember, creating SOP is very different than creating a delegation task. So if you have a big system or project you're delegating, yes, you're going to give more specifics. But when we're talking an SOP, when someone has to reference that quickly, maybe they're making a very quick decision of how to do something in the moment, it needs to be simple and clear. Now, research on multitasking, that offers a useful frame here. Studies show that task switching can reduce productivity by up to 40%. So every time a team member doesn't know what to do and they have to stop, they have to think, they have to ask or improvise, that's not just a moment of inefficiency. That is a potential safety concern, a parent experience failure, or a compliance risk, depending on what the procedure involves. So in early childhood businesses specifically, where your ratios, your health protocols, your licensing requirements, your pickup procedures, your incident reporting, all of that has legal and licensing implications. And we usually handle it this way. That is not a sufficient operating standard. SOPs don't just create efficiency, they create protection as well. One of the early childhood business operators that we work with, well, she was operating a beautiful enrichment program with a team of 8. She was exceptional at what she did. She was warm, she was organized, deeply knowledgeable about child development. But every time she brought on a new team member, the onboarding process, well, she had to start it from scratch. She'd spend the first 2 weeks walking him through procedures personally, fielding questions throughout the day, and then correcting small inconsistencies between what she wanted and what they were actually doing. That was exhausting, and it meant she couldn't take a single day away without the operation feeling shaky. So when we worked through the SOP process together, she had a moment of real clarity. The reason why her procedures weren't working wasn't that her team was incapable. It was that she'd never written anything down in a way that was actually followable. Her existing documents were either too detailed, too long, or buried in a shared folder that nobody remembered to check. So we rebuilt her core SOPs using the 3-part framework: objective, steps, and monitoring. And we added a visual element for the procedures that involve physical space or sequential tasks. We put them where her team actually would use them. She laminated the drop-off SOP and posted it at the front entrance. She added the opening checklist to the team communication board. The result, within 30 days, her new hire onboarding time, well, it was cut in half. And the "what should I do if" texts, well, those to her personal phone, they dropped significantly. She told me it felt like her business was finally at a place where she could breathe and it could operate on its own. Now that, my friend, takes us right into our strategies that we're going to focus on to help get you there. And strategy number 1 is start with the right SOP categories for your business type. So one of the reasons SOP creation stalls before it starts is that operators try to document everything at once and immediately feel overwhelmed. The better approach is to start with the categories that create the most chaos when they're not documented. So for most early childhood businesses, those fall into a predictable set of areas. So for preschools and childcare centers, the highest priority SOP categories are team and child ratios and how they're managed during breaks and unexpected absences, health and safety procedures, including emergency protocols, medication handling, daily health checks and incident reporting, daily routines and classroom management, including opening and closing procedures, transitions and classroom resets, tuition collection and parent communication, including payment expectations, late fees, and how updates and incidents are communicated, and licensing compliance, including how documentation for certifications, CPR, and state requirements are maintained and accessed. Now, for play cafés, your highest priority SOP categories look a little different. Guest check-in and safety protocols, party and event management procedures, cleaning and sanitation timelines, place-based expectations for both team members and guests. For enrichment programs, you might focus on program registration and enrollment management, curriculum execution and consistency, student pickup and safety procedures, and how substitute instructors are briefed and supported. These are just a few. Now, the reason this distinction matters is that early childhood businesses offer ratio-dependent options in a way that a coffee shop or a retail shop just simply don't operate. When your drop-off procedure fails, it's not just an inconvenience, it's potentially a safety or a compliance issue. And when your party setup procedure isn't followed consistently, that's not just inefficient, it directly affects the family experience that drives your referrals and retention. So start by identifying the 5 to 7 procedures in your business that cause the most confusion, the questions, the inconsistency. Those are your first SOPs and everything else comes after. So your action step here: List every procedure in your business that currently lives in your head or relies on you being present to execute correctly. Circle the top 5 that cause the most repeated questions or the highest potential for error. These are your SOP priorities. Start there, not with a comprehensive documentation effort. Step 2, I want you to download the SOP manual framework from kellypeak.com, where you'll find information about this podcast episode number 178. That's your free resource. Use the category list to identify which areas of your specific business type. If you're a preschool, a play cafe, or an enrichment program, which do you need first? That framework is organized by business type, so you're not starting from a blank page. Then we're going to move on to strategy number 2. We're going to write the SOPs that a new team member can follow on day 1. So here's the test I use for every SOP. Could a brand new team member with no prior knowledge of our program follow this procedure correctly on their first day? If the answer is no, then the SOP needs to be simpler. The SOP template inside Module 5 of the Preschool Business Blueprint, that has 3 components. So if you're in our mentorship program, you will find it again in Module 5. The objective, the procedure steps, and the monitoring and quality control section. That's it. And it works because it doesn't try to document every nuance. It documents the minimum required for consistent execution. So the objective answers 2 questions in 1 or 2 sentences. What is the procedure for and why does it matter? So for example, a drop-off procedure SOP might read, to ensure the safe and efficient transition of children from parent to team member each morning while maintaining compliance, ratios, safety protocols, and creating a warm, welcoming experience for every family. That's it. No paragraph of backstory, no mission statement, no explanation of your program or philosophy, just the purpose. Now, the procedure steps are numbered, sequential, and specific. Not greet the family, but greet the parent and child by name. Make eye contact with the child and get down to their level. Not check for illness, but conduct a quick visual health check for fever, runny nose, eye discharge, and visible rash. If any symptoms are present, follow the illness policy procedure. Now, these are specific enough to eliminate guesswork, short enough to actually be read. Now, this is a place where you can use your AI tools. So I wouldn't use the AI tools to identify the top ones in your business because everyone is different. So use what you know. Which are the bottlenecks? What's holding you up? Where are you getting the questions? Then you can take those to your AI, ChatGPT or Claude, and they can help you work on these procedures, making sure they're numbered, sequential, and specific. Now, the monitoring section, that's going to describe how you'll know the SOP is being followed. This might be as simple as supervisors will observe drop-off 3 times per week and provide feedback during team check-ins. Or maybe it might be a daily checklist. The point is that documentation without accountability, well, that's just decoration. Build the check-in into the SOP itself. Now, one more note on format. Visual elements, well, they're going to make SOPs dramatically more usable for team members who are on their feet and not reading at a desk. A simple numbered checklist posted at the relevant location, laminated at the front entrance, for example, right in front of the bathroom, pinned on the supply closet door, visible in the party prep area. That's going to get used 10 times more than a PDF in a shared folder. So match the format to where and how the procedure actually happens. So 2 action steps here. Number 1, I want you to pick one procedure from your priority list and write it using the 3-part SOP template. Your objective, 2 sentences maximum. Your numbered steps, no more than 10 if you can make it happen. And your monitoring. How are you going to be held accountable? So time yourself. It should take no more than 20 minutes. If it's taking longer, you're over documenting. So make sure you simplify. After you've written the SOP, hand it to someone who doesn't really know the procedure, maybe a new team member, a trusted colleague, anyone who comes in with a fresh set of eyes, and ask them to follow it without help. Where they pause, where they get confused, maybe they ask a question, that's exactly where the SOP needs to be more clear. So revise that once again based on their experience, and then you're going to have something genuinely functional. And then that's going to take us on to our final strategy today, number 3, where you're going to embed your SOPs into your team culture so they're actually used. So the most beautifully written SOPs in the world, well, they don't help your business if your team members don't know where they are, don't know they exist, can't find it when they need it, or maybe learned the procedure from watching someone else and never looked at the documentation. So building those SOPs, that is the first step. Building a culture where SOPs are genuinely used is the step that makes them worth building. So the first piece is the placement. Your SOPs need to live at the point of use, not in a centralized binder or on a shelf, but in a specific location where that procedure happens. So the opening checklist belongs at the entrance. The health check procedure belongs where children maybe sign in or in your emergency binder. The party setup procedure belongs in the party prep area. The medication administration SOP belongs in the space where the medications are stored. So your team needs to know exactly what to do. The answer should be immediately visible, not a 3-step search process away. So the second piece is onboarding that SOP. So SOP should be a core part of how every new team member in your business learns about your business, not an afterthought. When onboarding includes, here are the 5 SOPs you're going to use most in your first week, let's walk them through together. That new hire is going to start with a framework instead of improvising. They're also going to feel way more confident. They're going to make fewer errors, and they're going to need less handholding from you, which is the whole point. So the third piece is a regular review. An SOP that was accurate when you wrote it 2 years ago, well, that may no longer reflect how your business operates today. So you need to be doing at least annual SOP reviews. So build that into your action plan. Ensure that your documentation stays current and that team members are reminded of procedures that may have drifted from the standard over time. Add it to your team meeting agenda once a year. Let's review the SOPs together to make sure they're aligned. It's not micromanagement. It's operational leadership. So again, every year when we have our annual team meeting, we do a quick review. I ask all the team members, do a quick review of our SOPs. Most of our SOPs at Peak Academy, believe it or not, live in their emergency binders they carry with them all the time. Whether in the classroom or outside of the classroom, that emergency binder goes with them. So most of the SOPs are in there. So if they need to know how to give CPR at a moment's notice, how to use an EpiPen at a moment's notice, if there is a fire, what to do in a moment's notice, they have it at all times. Now, the fourth piece, and possibly the most powerful, is making those SOPs, making a team activity rather than just a solo documentation process. When you ask a team member who excels at a specific procedure to help you write the SOP for it, well, my friend, 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, that SOP is going to be more accurate because it's written by someone who's actually doing that task on a daily basis. And that team member, they are going to develop a sense of ownership over the procedure. And people follow systems that they actually help build. That's where it's actually helping you build your team culture. So 2 action steps here. I want you to identify the 3 most critical procedures in your business that happen in a specific physical location. Again, think drop-off, opening, party setup, bathroom, wherever is the most relevant to your program type. Create a simplified laminated version of each SOP or a binder that's going to live where those activities happen. Post them at the point of use this week. This single action is going to have an immediate visible impact on how your team operates. Schedule a 15-minute SOP review. This is number 2, action step number 2. If you haven't looked at your SOPs in a while, get together with your team, maybe at the next team meeting. You don't have to review them at the meeting if you don't have time, but ask each classroom, for example, or each party person to pick 2 to 3, review them, and then when you come together to meet, they can share their experience from what you have. They can review it, and then you can invite them to make suggestions or improvements. You'll get better SOPs and a stronger team buy-in at the same time when you do this. So my friend, let's bring this all together. Today, we moved from SOPs that gather dust to SOPs that actually operate your business. When you start with the right categories for your specific program type, you write procedures that a new team member can follow on day 1, and then you embed those SOPs into the physical locations and team culture where they're needed most. My friend, you're going to stop being the hub of every operational question and start being the CEO who designed a business that runs with clarity and consistency. That's the efficient operations profit booster doing what it's designed to do, give you back more of your time and freedom. Okay, let's take a quick minute. Let's find some calm, find a little peace, and imagine this. If you're out of the building for a full day, maybe you're doing some training and CEO level work. Maybe it's a long overdue day off and your phone doesn't ring once with an operational question. Your team, they are handling morning drop off exactly the way you would want them to. The new hire is referencing the SOP posted at the front entrance and getting everything right. That party setup, it's consistent, professional, and on time. Your business is operating because you built systems that work even when you're not. That, my friend, is your time freedom lifestyle in action. So your 3 key steps for this week: go download that free SOP manual framework at kellypeak.com, where you're going to find information about podcast episode number 178. And you're going to build your first SOP using this 3-part template: objective, steps, and monitoring, or review a couple current SOPs you already have compared to this template before the end of this week. Then I want you to look at our small offer that we have available to you, the Team Culture Blueprint. If you are wanting more resources around team culture, this is going to pair directly with your SOP work by giving you the framework for communicating procedures, setting expectations, and building a team culture where following systems is a point of professional pride, not just compliance. And number 3, if you would like some deeper support, if you want to build a complete operational business that runs smoothly without your consistent presence, be sure to join us inside the Shine CEO Mentorship Program. That's where you're going to find all these resources, including Module 5, Efficient Operations, where it's going to walk you through the full operations workflow analyzer and the systematizer and the complete SOP framework with live coaching support every month. Now, the reason your SOPs matter goes beyond efficiency. When your team knows exactly what to do, they feel confident. And when they feel confident, they serve your children and your families better. When children and families are served well, the difference you got into this business to make, the one that kept you going through all those hard years, well, that actually happens every single day, consistently, at a level that doesn't require you to be personally present for every moment of it. That's not just good business. That's your legacy, my friend. So go build it. Let's build it together. I can't wait to see how it goes. I will see you next week.